from 10,000 to 100,000 is like having a bit of clarity about like what are the products you are actually promoting.
With a background in computer science and affiliate marketing, he has interviewed over 100 entrepreneurs. Some of them were also billionaires like Nightmare and Cops. Please welcome the brilliant RJ Ahmed.
I started back in 6 years ago when I haven't got admission in the university. If you don't buy it, it will not affect me at all. The next day, I will do my same things. I will still make money. But if you take up a shot, it could change your whole life.
What are some common challenges that you're facing in selling through your podcast?
Focus on the things that are the next needle mover of your business. From 7 to 8, it's more about getting really good at systems, growing teams, having clear product, clear offer, clear service on a scalable level. It's like don't compare yourself with others. It's you versus you and you versus yesterday. Me.
Hi, RJ. Thank you so much for your precious time.
Yep, truly appreciate it.
Anyways, so how you got started in space?
Yeah, so I started back in like 6 years ago when I haven't got admission in the university. So just a quick backstory around it. I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia. I spent most of my life over there. Back in 2017, we moved to Pakistan for the first time and had a lot of like cultural differences, and we didn't had a lot of idea around like so many other different things in general. So after I finished my college, I haven't got myself admission in the university. I was free for 6 months and I bumped into a Facebook ad around dropshipping, how dropshipping works, all that, which was the first stepping point for me. Which made me excited around, okay, like there is something, there are some steps around like making money online and all that, etc. Started to do more research on that, and then started building my store. And then I was like, okay, I'm doing all this, but how am I gonna get paid? Because in Pakistan we don't have Stripe, we don't have PayPal, we don't have like all of those things. So I figured from the guy who I was watching on YouTube, Sebastian Gomez, that you can form US company and get a EIN number, which is a tax number, to get a Stripe account. Now the catch was that I had a saving of $126 somewhere along those lines. And like I've also posted that a couple of days ago on my Instagram story, my first expense chart on my diary, which I wrote.
$126.
Yes. So $126 was my very first expense, and that was the close saving I had too. And I was completely all alone in the room, and I was the only person, without me asking from anyone, who took that decision. Right? That's what most people lack, is the ability of not taking decisions when you are the only person who is in control of it. So I took that decision. I was like, I've invested my own money, so if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, cool. I'm still like, no, with my parents.
What was your age at that time when you took the decision
I
all
was
by
18.
yourself?
I was 18 that time. Yes. The other problem I was actually facing that time
Wow.
was when I was trying to, like, for example, there are multiple subscriptions, right? So when I was using my cards for those subscriptions, it wasn't working. So it took me a month to figure out which cards are actually working for online transactions on platforms like Shopify, all that, so that I can be able to like run the subscriptions of Shopify, right? So I was like going into different banks, all that, asking like if they provide like these such debit cards, or like if they provide credit cards. For credit cards, there was a certain age limit. You have to be like 21 here in Pakistan. So of course, like they didn't provide it like credit card that time. So I got a different bank's debit card just to make sure if that card worked, and that card worked out. So when I finally got my Stripe account, I ran out of money. Now I need money for subscription, running ads, product fulfillment, all that, etc. So I did a post on my Instagram, and by being resourceful, that if anyone is interested in investing in my company, let me know. So I was teaching tuition with my mother when I was in Saudi Arabia. So I had like friends who were also like students of ours. They actually replied to us like, okay, like what's the deal? Like, what are you planning to do? So I explained them, I'm planning to run a store. This is how the plan looks like. You can get like 30% equity for like $200, around 32,000 rupees that time. And I even like sent them an agreement with all the things. It was not a proper agreement, but it was at least a written agreement which they can sign upon, so that at least all of us are on the same page. So I wanted to make sure like they are already on the same page. So I started Black Friday 2018, biggest night in biggest night on in e-commerce business. Black Fridays and Cyber Mondays, biggest time of the year. I launched my store, spent $20, haven't got any sort of money, and I was like, why it's not working? Why I'm not making 6-figure weeks or days? What most people or what most gurus were actually portraying about. But like sooner I started to realize like it's not that fast to make money online. You have to have a certain sort of a skill set, and to be able to sell that skill set in the marketplace, and even like have a good idea around the products and be able to like market those products so people would buy it, because other person is also human. So I got that realization, and during that time I bumped into affiliate marketing, like what affiliate marketing days promoting other people's products, all that. And coincidentally, I saw marketers were talking about the concept of sales funnel, right? I was really intrigued about that. Like, what is a sales funnel? Like, is it like filling up water tanks, oil tanks, or the chemistry funnels that we see in the lab? So that was exactly into my mind,
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like what a sales funnel was, but it was something else. And during that time on Instagram, I saw a post which was like, this guy have made like $3 million in 90 minutes. Russel Brunson, co-founder of ClickFunnels. I was like, I remember like I told my mom, like I was like, who this guy is, like who made like $3 million in 90 minutes from a stage, like doing what? I just don't get it. I was so shocked just to see that, like there's somebody have actually made like 3 million in 90 minutes from a stage, which was insane to think about. So like then moving down the road, I actually finally got bumped into ClickFunnels back in like 2019 in January, and I signed up for ClickFunnels under Paul Motley. And ClickFunnels is really expensive for the person who actually don't know the benefit of it, and also in the currency conversion. So it was a lot of money for me, like $97 every month. So I got a trial of 2 weeks, and then like a guy from ClickFunnels support team, his name was Nico. He was keep extending the trial for like from 2 weeks to 2 months. He was extending like every 2 weeks my trial. We were jumping on a call to see like, hey, if I still be able to like, pay for the plan or not. I was like, hey, I need some.
Free trial?
Yeah, free trial. Yes, correct. So I had 2 weeks of free trial, which is their ideal 14 days. But then I jumped on the call with Nico, and he extended my trial from 2 weeks to additional 2 weeks, which turned into 1 month. And then he did an additional 2 weeks add on, and then additional, which led to like 2 months of trials of him, because he was really generous enough to give me more time to explore ClickFunnels just to see if this can actually work out for me or not. It was a really big motivator for me that time, because I could have not tried it or could have not understood the power of it. Because during that time when I was trying to explore ClickFunnels, I was watching other people like making a lot of sales. At that time, they were like orange bars of commissions inside of ClickFunnels. So there were a lot of people having these like orange bars of commission. I was like, why I have an empty one? Why am I not making money? Like, is that even like real? Or is that a scam? So somewhere along the lines of like 9th March, I was in ClickFunnels Facebook group, and somebody needed a Facebook ads course, and I got a Facebook ads course because I signed up for ClickFunnels through someone's link, through Paul Motley's link. So when I signed up through his link, that person was like, hey man, I need the Facebook ads course. Do you have one? I was like, yes, I do. But you will get it for free as a bonus if you sign up for one funnel away challenge under my link. He was like, okay, how much it cost? I was like, $100. And for one funnel away challenge at $100, we usually got like 100% commission. So it was like 100% commission on it. And he was like, okay, send me the link, I'll buy it, and I'll buy it, and you can send me the course access. So 5 minutes later, he bought it. I was in my hostel, and it was surreal for me right now even to think about that first sale was a 4-minute mile for me, and I couldn't believe that I made my first sale, and it broke all the false belief for me. Like, it works. I can make money online. This is for me. I can do it. I have the possibility to do it. All of those things like came like full circle, and I was so happy and was so glad that it happened. And from that point of time, from March 2019 to until now, I never missed a month where I have not made a sale. It's crazy to think about. Then it became, from
Wow,
that point
that's
of
like
time
record
to
breaking.
now, it became so consistent. It could have been like up and down, that's fine, but it never happened in the past like 5 years consistently that there was not a single sale being made. Or like if I've not made any money, that never happened then in the 5 years, because I've understood the value of the concept of value. Because a lot of marketers talks about like you have to provide value, you have to provide value. What value is an exchange of your time, money, resources, information to other person to help other person out. That is what value is. So once you understand what value is and how you can provide that value to other, you can get paid, because people will like you and they will trust on you and they will buy from you, which is a simple concept of Russell. So yeah, that's how the journey been. It's crazy to think about like how I started, and like what are the things going on right now.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that in short
Yeah.
summary of what you've done and not missed a single month without earning anything. That's some record-breaking history, RJ. Like, wow, it's like a hats off. Anyways, could you just explain, in short, what is exactly affiliate marketing?
Yeah, affiliate marketing in general is promoting someone else's product so that you can get paid as a commission, right? So for example, if you have if you have a salon business and you have customers, let's say, coming in, It could be like, hey, if you can get more customers from me, or if you can like refer my salon to others, and if they come for the service, you will get paid for it for a certain percentage, right? There are different type of affiliate marketing, of course. There's like one-time bounties, recurring commissions that I really endorse a lot. Getting paid every, if there's a subscription business and you're inviting people for a subscription business, of course you're getting paid on the monthly basis too, right? That is also the other reason why I kept paid, or I got paid like on a monthly basis every single month, regardless if I do something or not, just because I promoted those products, not only which I trust, which I endorse, which are other people using it successfully for years. So that led me to like have all of these like breakthroughs, all that, etc. But like that is the basic concept of affiliate marketing. It's like promoting other people's product. If they buy through you, you will get paid a certain commission or certain percentage.
Thank you so much. Now, how do the principles of sales apply to affiliate marketing? Like, what challenges have you faced in closing deals in the field of affiliate marketing?
See, the basic challenges like what most people face, and what I personally faced myself was like not understanding the product correctly. If I don't know the product, I would not be able to talk about it, or not even be able to like defend it, or why it's even like good, right? So the most common problem people face is like not understanding the product right. Now, what's recommended is like they should buy the product, at least while it's not realistic that they can buy all the products, at least they should be well versed what the product is about. They should know about the pros and cons of the product, so that if they're endorsing it, if somebody asks them question out of the box, they will be able to answer it. The reason why people just don't buy it, because they feel like you're not even like sure enough, or they don't feel like that you either are on that level where they can feel like they can get their life changed by you if they're coming after you. So that is the other reason why people aren't able to like sell products successfully, because they are not well versed. And some of the questions being asked from them is like, hey, whoa, what they are teaching, who should, what it is best for, like who is it best for, why should we buy or not, what is the thing that makes made sure that it was suitable for us or not. All these elements, if you're not well versed around the product, how come you can be able to like promote it? It's not that I bought all the products that I promoted. Some of the products I promoted, I never personally used it, but I was so well versed around the product based off my research that I was able to like break every person's objection, if there was there. And it happens by watching their YouTube videos, by watching or analyzing their landing pages, by watching the review videos, by checking out articles around the product. All those will give you enough understanding around all the different elements that is actually required to sell the product. So these are like objections that comes through all the way when selling affiliate products.
Great. So product knowledge is the most important
Yes,
part where you need to
of course.
understand your product. You need to first believe in your product, then you can sell
Of
it.
course, I mean, like if you don't know the product, like how can you even sell it? If I don't know like what, if I'm not an iPhone user and I don't also know about like what are the features or what are the specs looks like or what are the benefits looks like inside of like using an iPhone, how come I can sell it, right? Because the other person would,
No, that's
yeah,
yeah,
because the other
right,
person
yeah.
would be like, why should I buy from you when I can buy from other salesperson who might tell me better features, who might tell me like in a better way of like why this phone would be suitable for me. uh, of course, like this is a commodity based example, but I'm just giving a general idea about like what it costs to others.
Thank you so much, RJ. So, since you have interviewed entrepreneurs from different income brackets, from the lower hierarchy to the higher hierarchy, can you share some of the most effective objection handling techniques which you have encountered with your interviews with them?
Some of them that which I really liked about the most is the one which I heard was like breaking the false belief of the person of like what they were doing earlier that was not already working anyways. So for example, if somebody come on a sales call and they're like, hey man, I think like when I will get to a certain point, I will get back to you. And the usual reply could be like, well, the thing you were trying, that was already not working anyways. So like how you think about it would still work now. That would give them a big question mark to think about, like, where are you getting back, man? The thing that was not already working. That line would like opens up a lot more conversation now on having the idea about like how to proceed forward. The difference is like the people who are successful, they are not end up into desperation of closing a person. They would show it as if like the other person needs them, and they will nail down their objections according. It's not like they will not sell, it's not like they will not close. It's like they show it, and it happens based off experience and based off like on a consistent basis. They show it as if it's like, even if you go, it doesn't matter. I remember there was a sales page what Russell does, and he have this like his perfect webinar. And at the end of a framework, he actually always talks about in his framework is like list down as if the reasons why they buy will not affect you either ways. And I've actually implemented that into a seminar. When I did that, I was like, hey, if you buy this product what I'm selling right now, or if you don't buy it, it will not affect me at all. The next day, I will do my same things. I will still make money. If you take up a shot, it could change your whole life. So it means like it's not affecting me, but if you're not taking it, it could affect you. That
Wow.
framework of Russell in a perfect webinar in his Export Secrets book was really amazing, and I've used it as is when I did a seminar in my university. That was a really good close call, because you're letting other people know like your yes or no will not affect me. It will ultimately gonna affect you. So now better choose wisely. So it is like lack of understanding with other people, having a more desperation, not be able to like handle clients or handle prospects properly with the confidence. And like all of those people does not, all of these things does not come in day one. Because I posted that on my reel, I think earlier today also, like Dan Henry mentioned on my podcast when he jumped on, he was like you don't box by watching daily YouTube videos. You learn how to box by actually doing it, by actually practicing it, right? So that when the time comes, you know how to jab, you know how to defend yourself, all that right at that moment. But if you're watching a YouTube video and you're feeling like, hey, I can now save up myself, I can like punch this way and this way, while you've not even like tried it yourself, man, it's not gonna work. That's not how things work. It happens when you've actually practiced it and applied it in your life so that you can use it when the time comes. Same happens in sales. You reiterate your process every single time when you jump on a sales call. You try different things and you get better at it over time.
See, I am going to be, picking your brain a lot about the entrepreneurs because we are all very fascinated about that. A person who is, super young and reached, worth like billions is something very rare to find nowadays. So, what are some of the, common psychological barriers like anger or like, lack of retention or like, premature evaluation? All these psychological barriers, that entrepreneurs face from scaling to from 5 figure to 9 figure incomes, and like how do they overcome them? Because even they might be going through such stuff
Of course.
and not being able to focus and everything. So how do they overcome that?
Yeah. So the very first thing to think about, if somebody is on, they're making their first $10,000, right? In those cases,
Mhm.
it's like them not having a proper idea about like what are the products or what are the things they're promoting, right? So which means the certainty is not there for them. They are not actually certain around the fact of about like what are the things they actually want to do. So there is a lot of like shiny object syndrome actually involved with their process, because they're not even like clear about the fact, and they're doing things randomly which actually led them to 5 figures. Because like 5 figures is like $10,000 as their first 5 figures, right? Just like they're doing things random, not even have a complete idea, but they somehow got to like $10,000. But then from 10,000 to 100,000, it's like having a bit of clarity about like what are the products you're actually promoting to a certain broad number of audiences. So it means like now the thing that comes and the challenge that comes and they try to overcome to get from 10 to 100,000 is more around clarity. Having an idea about like which type of people they want to go after, having an idea about like, okay, what are the set of products they want to target to those people, so that they can be able to sell to those people and get to 100,000. I was just on an interview with a guy like right before this. I was recording a podcast. He's from India, and he made $10 million, 722 clients. So 722 clients, and he made his $10 million out of. And he was giving this amazing start. He was talking about out of that 722 clients, two clients have given him 20% of his income. So it means like two clients have paid him $2 million, which is 20% of his $10 million income, right? So what we were discussing about is
Is it a recurring income?
it was recurring income, of course, because those clients were paying him like $3,000 to $5,000 per month, and paying him paid him for a decade. Paid him
Wow.
for a decade that turned into $1 million lifetime value of that particular client. And there were two clients he was talking about. So it means like two clients over the course of 10 years. I've got him like $2 million with paying him like 25 to 35 or $4,500 per month for like 10 years. So, which is crazy to think about. That a lot of people out there are like selling randomly all that. So yeah, we were talking about like on the 6-figure mark. It's like having more clarity around okay the type of services you want to sell and the general audience you want to go after, and you get to like $100,000. From 100 to getting to $1 million is like one, be able to have a team and be able to like let them also control things within your business. So like, get them so good that they will be able to also like take care of some of the other things that you should not do, because that is the other psychological barrier other people have. It's like you always want to, as a business owner, want to take the control of steering, but it's like you have to let other person do it if they can do it better, so you can focus on the other things that are like the really needle mover of your business. I remember like one time I was in a conversation with one of my coaches, and I asked him like, man, I have so much free time. I don't know what to do. Good problem to have, right? Because I've delegated things to my team and they were working like, so efficiently that I was like, man, I don't know. Like I have so much free time. I don't get it what I should do. He was like, focus on the things that are the next needle
I should
mover
start
of
a
your
side
business.
hustle.
Yeah. So
Like, I have so much time, I should start one more side hustle.
yeah, I mean, like 100% correct. Yes. So it means like I had enough time, I could start like something new. But he was like, see, like what are the flaws right now in your operations? Fix those over time so that those don't become a hurdle for your team. And then on the other side, always focus on sales and operations. Focus on these because these are still under your control, because you don't have an operation manager right now. You have not a sales manager. So of course, like you can do it, that part of your business can be handled by yourself. So it means like adding some more team members who are really good at what they do, and you have a clear focus now, niche down who you want to target, what products you want to sell. For us as an agency owner, like having more productized based offer will lead you to 7 figures. And providing steering to others. It's like we have this like resistance, or like we have this like of this like scarcity around like, if anything goes wrong with your team member doing it, you just go in and do it right. You just try to like fix those things. I remember like Russell talked about that. They're like, when you hire team members, like 80% is the 100%. If they can get to the 80% job and they would get that done so close, then you're just coming for like the only 20%, and like slowly moving down the road, it start to reduce, which was a really powerful thing that I think about. And it is really hard because sometimes it's like tickling, right? It's like you have to just do it. Like, let me come in, but it is hard to resist, but it is so important because you have to let the other person make the decision, so that person also become confident enough to make those decisions sometimes when you're not there. So that comes on 7 figures, right? From 7 to 8, it's more about getting really good at systems, growing teams, having clear product, clear offer, clear service on a scalable level. So even if you have a value ladder, all that, clarity then becomes the key. It's like getting more clear, makes things more simple. You probably heard these phrases, right? Like one product, one offer, one funnel, one traffic source. I'm not going to emphasize
Yeah.
on traffic source, but all the others is like a set of products that are on the value ladder. One set of audience, could be multiple channels, you're still providing them. But it's like having that idea about like how I can make things so simple that I could get mass market and I'll still be profitable, right? So that is something that gets from 7 to 8 based off what I've heard from other guests. Now it's a big jump, but when I heard the conversation today, when I jumped on a podcast from that guest, that he had like two clients got him like paid him like $2 million in 10 years. It's a decent amount of money to get paid on a retainer for even for a 10-year period. Getting someone to retain for 10 years is
Absolutely.
not easy. Sometimes people are not able to retain their spouses, let alone a customer. So just think about in that way,
Yeah.
which is crazy, right? Now,
That's so true. Yeah.
yeah, in this
Absolutely.
age, sometimes it happens like they're not able to retain like their spouses for like 10 years. Again, I'm not married right now, but of course, like we see it on social media. But let alone a customer who have completely free will to leave. uh, but yeah, like these are the differences what I saw. And like from 8 to 9 is more around building a mass community, building a cult like audience, something what ClickFunnels have does like over the course of like 10 years, that they have been built that cult like audience that people would love to be the part of that funnel hacking community. Like they would love to be the part of that certain community so that they will be able to be the part of that community and feel like we are surrounded ourselves with people who are like us. Yeah,
Believing in
believing
us.
in us, they are like us, they are facing the same problem like us, so like that relatability empowers them more. And there was a quote which was like really amazing. It was by Steve Jobs. uh, yes, there was, and ClickFunnels use that a lot in their in their shirts, all that. It was like I'm just like checking out if I can like find it out real quick. Yeah, so the code that they actually use a lot, which is really good, is like, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, to troublemakers, round pegs in square holes, the one who see things differently. They're not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the one thing you cannot do is ignore them, because they change things, they push the human race forward. While some may see them as crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. That's a Steve Jobs quote, which they put emphasis on it a lot, because that's exactly what it is. It's like entrepreneurs are the one who are there to change the world. They are different from all the others in it. So that what led from 8 to 9 figures is a community. So yeah, these are the differences or psychological barriers that most people face from a general perspective.
All right. Thank you, RJ. That was a very, intensive knowledge, and I hope everyone's gonna be super excited to gain such, levels of how to grow and what all the barriers they are going to have to face. Maybe they have their own barriers, which
Yep.
they will, rediscover soon. But anyways, you were talking about sales funnels. Can you walk us through a sales funnel and how your podcast fits into it? What role does your podcast play at different stages?
So for most people who actually like don't know about the concept of sales funnels, it's like turning your prospects or like turning the people who are actually watching you into a customer. That is the end goal of a sales funnel. And I remember like Steve Larson actually said it when he got on my podcast. He was like, most people think about it as a marketing funnel. It's not. You run ad, that is your marketing, but your funnel is selling. That is why it's called a sales funnel, not a marketing funnel, but a sales funnel, right? It is there to sell. So in my case particularly, here's how I use my podcast as a sales funnel. So I remember like Dan Kennedy once said, it is easier to change your audience than to change the message, and that was life changing for me. So when I heard it for the first time, I was like, isn't it so crazy to think about your offer can still stay the same, but if you shift it to a different audience, things could change up massively. So in my case, what I've started to do, instead of like me thinking about I'm going to sell to the audience who are watching the podcast, the people who actually get on my show get familiar with what I do, what I offer, what I sell, and over the course of time, they become my customer. So instead of like me pointing out on the traffic on the people mostly who are my,
Reaching out,
yeah,
yeah.
instead of
Okay.
like me reaching out to the people who are watching my content, let's say from on YouTube, on Facebook, all that, I don't sell them something, but the people who are getting on my podcast, who have money, who have a lot of resources, who can somehow be able to pay for my service for a continuous period of time, they actually see my content, what I do, they get on my podcast, I have a really good conversation. After the podcast ends, we love to explore each other, what they do, what I do. I tell them what I do. When they start to follow me more, now in some way along the lines of future, when they have any interest of starting their own podcast, they know where to go after, like me. So it means the traffic or the people
You're
who I
right.
have
Yeah.
is my podcast guest. In my case, it's like they see what I do and they have that in their mind, and then we go from there. And from that, them, the interest have already been built. If they need something, like all of them are then my leads, right? All of them are my potential leads, and I sometimes categorize them on my Google Sheets, all that, like who are the people who have podcasts and who are the people who don't have podcasts. The people who don't have podcasts, I mark it as like green yes box, because of course like that is like my customer, like best customer, because that person don't have a podcast. If they do have it, I mark it as no with a red mark, because of course they have existing podcast right now, but I still keep it there. So from there, if they need podcasts, I get on a conversation with them, see what they want, see what they need, having expectations completely clear of like what they want, and expect it in a long-term perspective, because podcast is a long-term game. And the advantage for that is like if they're coming up from that long-term perspective, they will stick longer, they will last longer, you will make a lot of more money, the lifetime value of a customer is would be great. The exact same thing what we were discussing about with the guest today when we recorded the podcast. It's like there's a quote by Dan Kennedy which says that the person who spends the most to acquire a customer wins, which is a really good quote. So which is like the person who spends the most to acquire a customer wins. But most people forget about the other metric, which is the lifetime value of a customer. How long a customer is paying you consistently. That is the other metric. You can get paid $100,000 from one client in the course of, I would say, even that person is paying you like $1,000 per month, $12,000 per year. It means like it will take you 9 years to get like $100,000 from one client, from charging $1,000 per month. It means like if you have 10 clients, if they stay, let's say, for 9 years, in 9 years you still made $1 million, which is still much faster compared to all the other people who makes any sort of money, right? Because $1 million is still a lot of money. So just thinking about that
Yeah.
perspective of like you retaining client long enough is such an underrated skill. So that's how I actually personally I personally able to like set the expectation clear, sell them the offer. And then of course, like when it's like when you buy something, there always comes a follow-up problem with the product. They want more things, they want this and that, all that, right? So when you buy a phone, you buy a charger, you buy hand freeze, you buy wireless AirPods, you want this, you need a wireless charger now you need this and that. It means like all of these things becomes a follow-up problems around the product. That's something I learned from Steve Larson. Is like then on anything apart from that, what you offer is like you're trying to upsell them based off the other problems they're possibly facing. For example, if somebody came up for the podcast production, but they're not publishing it across all platforms, or they don't have anyone right now, I could be like, our team do it. Do you need any help? They could be like, yeah, cool. So we start to do podcast publishing for them. If we see like, okay, they don't have a podcast website, we can be like, hey, we can do it too. Here's how much we charge for that. You're trying, you're able to increase the value, or first of all, the lifetime value of a customer now significantly. Instead of like you getting paid like $1,000 now, over the course, it's increasing now from 1,000 to 1,200 per month, from 1,500 per month. So where you were supposed to be making like 12,000 per year, you're probably going to be making like 20,000 per year now instead of that. So you try to upsell things based off like what are the things that are complementary problems to the thing you already sold, or the complementary problems they're probably facing in their business that you can solve with your complementary services. You put that complement, and that's how you actually upsell them, and that's how they actually becomes your really good clients, customers, because they know like all of the problems, most of the problems they have in a niche, you are the solution of it. So that's how the sales funnel for me, through my podcast, actually looks like. And that actually leads to a lot of confusion with a lot of people who are especially beginners. They're like, man, I just don't understand what you do. You do great work, but I just don't understand what you do. I'm like, man, that's the thing. It's like most people don't have idea about like what I do, but the people who have an idea are my customers. So if you feel like my podcast is valuable enough for you, thank you so much for listening that. But I can still explain you what I do, but it might not be applicable to you right now because you're not my potential customer.
Thank you. This was something, very, very, insightful. Uh, my next question would be, what are some common challenges that you're facing in selling through your podcast? Because as long as you've told us all this information, this is very, very clear that you leverage your podcast, right, to generate sales, and that's how you target the podcast production agency. But there might be, some instances where you have faced challenges, you have faced rejection, or else you might have to negotiate with that person. Like he
Of
wants your
course.
services, but he just doesn't think that, yeah, that whatever, particular amount you've set up for your podcast is pretty high and it's too expensive for that person. But you still want that guy because it's a recurring account.
Yes. It's like most people actually don't think about like podcast is a long-term game. It's like it takes sometimes months to be able to like nurture a client to be able to close them, especially when you're building a relationship route, because we are into a relationship-based business. So we are nurturing people to a point where they can become a customer, right? So it means like if we have some existing customers already in our network, they are funding us to proceed until we get more customers through. Now that is our one way of us acquiring customers, because second most powerful way for us are referrals. It's like our existing client, they are referring us to others. It's like one person or one referral if like is like referring us to like 3 clients, it means like I'm just like maximizing my potential lead list like right away. So which is crazy.
Right.
So like that is definitely one challenge, which is a long-term approach of thinking about like it can take longer than expected in some cases. The other thing is like, of course, there are negotiations that happens because I remember like I posted about it a couple of days ago. It's like if you want a discount, you have to ask for it. If you want to charge more, you have to ask for it, right? Which means
Yeah.
like for them to want a discount, they're asking for it. For me to retain where I stand, I have to ask for it, and I have to stay firm on that. It does not like, if I feel like there is a win-win situation and we can still make it work, of course we come down to a certain negotiations to make things work out. It's not like I'd be like, hey, I could be like, okay, what are the things in the pricing table you might not want right now, which is not in your urgency, and we can remove it and we can readjust the pricings, right? Because now this falls in under their
Right.
pricings, and we have excluded some work from our flow, so that we can also be justify ourselves of like reducing how much it's costing. So something along the lines is something that we sometimes do when we jump on a sales call and we feel like that person might not need all the things from a certain plan. We remove it and we can be like, okay, cool, like let's remove these if you don't need these right now, and this is how much it's going to cost you right now. So yeah, this is how we actually like usually handle our objections. And the third thing is like, and something I've actually missed up for a long time is like I had a course around my program, like of how to create a podcast or how to start one, right? I should have done and I missed it. It's like when jump on a sales call, if I feel like the person is not qualified at all, I forgot about the fact I had a downsell product and I've not pitched it. I've pitched it recently and I closed clients on that downsell offer of me giving a course. I was like, okay, cool. Like if you don't want our help, which is costly for you, which is justifiable, we have a course plus, let's say, for a set of period, depending upon like what plan you buy or what course plan you buy, payment plan, full pay, all that, and you'll be able to go proceed and move forward. And those people have bought it just because they feel like we might not have enough resources, but we still want to start a podcast right now. So if we have enough idea about like how to start or enough direction how to start, we might still be able to start that thing. When I realized this time when I did it and it successfully happened, I was like, I should have done that earlier on, but now I'm doing it now from now itself. It's like anytime when I jump on a call, I feel like somebody's not even like qualified enough, I simply just go in and just like downsell the offer. I like, there are high likely chances for them to buy it then.
Great. That's a great move. All right. RJ, coming to the last question of the podcast, you're aware that a human span of attention is very less, right? Like after 20 minutes, you just forget what you
Yes.
listened, right? So, in a world where attention spans are shrinking, if you had to bet your entire marketing money, your entire marketing budget on one sales funnel to capture and retain audience attention and convert cold leads into loyal customers, whose strategy would you trust more?
Yeah.
Josh Forti with his authority building podcast. Second, Dan Henry with his no nonsense webinars, intensive webinars. And third, Russel Brunson with his storytelling funnels. Which one would you choose?
So there are actually differences around like how they actually provide the offer. So the thing with that is like for Russell, he's more into one to many info product business or in a subscription based business, right? In a continuity based softwares. And he also have a 2CCX programs, all that, etc. But he's more into the info product business, right? For Dan, he was into a coaching business, but now he's more into a AI based software, doing it on a retainer basis, right? On the third side, with Josh, he have a technique for selling your services, what you have to offer to others, because successful people will not get coaching from you. They need your expertise, not coachings, what you have, right? So if I think about it, it's like, let me ask you this: what you're thinking about of me selling if I come up with one funnel, like what you're assuming about I'm actually selling, if I choose any of those three options.
Whatever you wish for, any product, any service. Let's say that your podcast, yeah, you want to grow it, you want to scale it, you want to do seminars, you want to become a podcast coach, What would you
See, like
choose?
in cases like these where if I am going for anything that is like being a podcast coach, going on one to many cases, I would definitely go with Russell Brunson's right route. If I'm planning to sell a service, in that case, I would go with Josh Forti's route, right? Because that applies in those cases. If I'm going into like, let's say, high ticket coachings, all those, in those cases, I'm going to Dan Henry route. So these things are pretty subjective, actually. It's a pretty subjective thing to actually think about. It's completely based off like what I'm planning to go after on that certain situation. If I'm starting right away, I would love to go on a service-based business because it will give you more money, and I will be able to fulfill it because of the service. Coaching is more like I don't want to become a coach if I don't have any sort of expertise. Let's take it right. It's like most beginners, they're starting out, if they have only one funnel to offer, they should not be a coach. They have to learn a skill, provided that skill, get better at it, and so that they can instruct to others because they've experienced it. They've not experienced it themselves, and then they're like telling to others, which is crazy. So like that's the difference. If I want to do like one to many approach, if I really want to do it, let's say getting on seminars on a one to many info product basis, of course Russell would be things. Then in that case, I would do summits with people with I know like there are high chances or certainty of me having product, and I know like those summit people will be able to like share the summit to their audiences. Now, not big influencers, those people who have decent audience but are willing to share that. I could have like one or two people just to have for the namesake, but I would go for more people that are willing to share the summit, right? That is more around if I'm planning to sell an info products. If I'm planning to sell a high ticket coaching, Dan Henry is a really good person to learn from. If I'm planning to sell a service, Josh Forti have done an incredible job in that. So that's how I think about if you nail down with these three people.
That was one hell of a diplomatic answer.
See, like I have to be
And
like that way.
thank you
It's
so
like it's a pretty subjective question to actually like think about. So there are different categories into it. So I wanted to make sure like I was pretty careful about like how I actually say it. Uh, if there's not a right or wrong answer
You
to
didn't
this.
make a mess. Even if you did, you cleaned it up, like literally.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that they give an answer proper way.
That was it for the podcast. And guys, you can find RJ Ahmed on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and his own, podcast blog as well. RJ, would you like to say any last
I
words?
would say thank you so much, Rajika, for having me. Uh, the last thing I would say is comparison is a thief of joy. So it's pretty vague thing to say, but it is most important thing is like don't compare yourself with others. It's you versus you and you versus yesterday. So get better over time, compete with yourself, and go from there. So that is something I want to say. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Guys, I'll see you on the next episode. Till then, peace out.